Yeah, you're asking about the current situation of food prices in Nigeria. Yes, of course, we know that the price of food is actually an aspect that touches on agribusiness and agriculture generally, because of course after production, for those who are engaged in commercial agriculture, even the smallholder farmers as well, who are producing not just for their families, they are not producing at a sustained level now. They are interested in pricing. And now we are talking about agribusiness, which is not just you know producing. Of course, we know that agribusiness is comprised of three major um, scope or three major categories of agribusiness. You can talk about the input, the output, and also the services sector within the agribusiness sector. So we have the agro input, we have the agro output, and we have the agro services. So is it when the prices of commodities get high, what happens? So the current situation Nigeria has been faced with, ruinous problems of late, and but what actually strikes, or what is very striking about this height, hike in price is the unbearable increase in the price of food and other essential things. So it is regrettably true that Nigeria has found itself in serious food uptight condition. Let me use that word. And this has been a very great concern for everyone, especially for the poor, especially for the vulnerable population. I have mentioned about these categories of people who are sometimes they are regarded as the minorities. Sometimes they are, those people who can, they have their, the features that, has, explains them to be, the abject. They can hardly find the means of livelihood. So the unbearable cost of food prices has really affected the valley. And of course, what has happened? It has mutated into a major threat to the efforts of the government in ameliorating humanitarian crisis, developmental, socioeconomic, and security-related difficulties that militates against millions of Nigerians. So this in turn has also caused a severity on nutritional status of Nigerians and the nutritional predicaments bedeviling people of Nigeria in recent times will, definitely be remembered as one of the most severe in recent times. So the trial of the local government, the state government, and the federal government of Nigeria must create more enabling environments for greater food production to meet the very rising demand as the population increases. So so that is what I campaign, and I can go on and mention even about the dire need for population control in any country, which of course cannot be overemphasized. I mean, the country like Nigeria, whose people solely depend on only one source of income, which of course the number is breathtaking as and a control mechanism which needs to be put in place. Yeah, so this for also no brainer. Trying to understand in a community that is perpetually commerged with the ones of hunger, but the population index of such community increases.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Dr. Ikechi. Now, I'm not sure I even understand the Nigerian pricing regime very well. Can you please clarify that part for us? How the Nigerian pricing system works?
The pricing system of Nigeria is well, Nigeria is a country that does not have price control mechanism. In the past, Nigeria has tried to to come up with, a good regulation of pricing of prices of food and essential commodities. Of course, many schools of thought, many persons have also said that price control cannot work in Nigeria. So uh, that question is quite very, very funny because, can I say that maybe a question like can the government set prices? Yeah, like I said in the past, the government have also made efforts, of course, more frantically to see that price of food and essential commodities can be controlled. And of course, price controls are normally mandated by the government in the free market or capitalist system. Although it may make certain good commodities and services more affordable. Of course, price controls can often lead to also disruptions in the market, losses for producers, and inevitable change in quality of the product. So I know that shortly before the Land Use Act of 1978, in 1977 precisely, that the price restrictions were more possible by a policy which came up as the Price Control Act. And this act basically gave the government powers through its price control board to fix price of a wide array of commodities, such as bicycle and spare parts, floor matches, milk. Of course, you can see that those are also the commodities that were quite popular at that time. So, but we need an upgrade. We need to come up with a more formidable, platform or a more formidable institution to manage the pricing situation. Because if a country does not have such facility, such in place, or such mechanism in place, there will be problems.
So in essence, Nigeria do not have a pricing regulation, a regulatory system. So what if some mafia just decide to take
I'm
the
I'm
market
not
either?
saying that Nigeria does not have a pricing regulation. Nigeria has. There are many institutions that in Nigeria that are trying to regulate pricing, but it's difficult. Even the central bank is trying that. Even the different policy boards like this policy board, which is called PPP, RA, that's Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency. They have tried also in recent times, with respect to the pricing of petrol, which of course it's been in the media for a while. Petrol is very important and it's an essential commodity, and of course the government comes to help to tackle the issue of the pricing to provide subsidies so that it's the price the price will be affordable for the common man. So there are other even we have also tried, like from the agriculture side, even the commodity boards, which have also worked sometimes. So I am not saying that there are no such platform, but the point I'm making is that such platforms has to be upgraded, has to be enforced, and leadership has a role to play in this. Yeah.
Why is it that at a certain period in the year, say for example during the Ember period, particularly the December period, of course throughout the period from September, October, November, these are usually expensive in Nigeria, but in December, November, December is extremely expensive. Is there any explanation to that?
Yes, very. In fact, it's a very important question. When you told me that you were going to interview me on this, I just knew that this question will come up because I was invited by Africa Independent Television, sometime early this year to also comment on that, and I was telling them that such periods is actually festive periods when the demand of food and essential commodities, is high. Of course, people always like to fix occasions at that time. They love to fix ceremonies. They love to fix um, you know um, even weddings as well. So you can see such times. the prices of commodities are high. And the challenge is that can the demand, meet up with the comment, can it actually, is it being satisfied by the commensurate supply? Or rather, is the supply of those food and agriculture, food items, essential commodity items as well, is it commensurate to, yeah, to the uh, is demand? Yeah, because when demand is high, what is it? The it's a pointer that suppliers of those commodities should supply more, and of course the prices will definitely get high. So it's an economic principle. It's like a lot of demand and supply. So it also plays out in this situation. Um, so such times is actually um, it's not just a December thing. Even in Easter periods, you 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 can even we can even reckon that the demand for food will definitely get high. Like I have pointed out, yeah, definitely get high. So another challenge is that the dry season also. Can I say this? The dry season, during December period, dry season period, Nigeria is made up of dry and dry season and rainy season. So at that time, the production resources, the infrastructural, some of the infrastructural resources are no longer available. Like Nigeria farmers depend solely on rain-fed agriculture. So we have to tell ourselves the truth that we have not specialized. Our farmers have not specialized in irrigation or practicing irrigated agriculture. So you can now see that there's a lot of dependence on the northern part of the country, where huge supplies come from. So, and of course, we have seen that we have the disruption of the food supply chain, which is the stale news. When even the cattle rearers issue came up, because we know that from the northern part of Nigeria, huge supplies come from, especially during the dry season. So the smallholder farmers are not strong enough to withstand such a time when rains are no longer falling. Right? We're talking that majority of our smallholder farmers.
Now, I would like
Right?
a kind of reaction from you from this article I was checking out just now on Vanguard, which said without CBN's intervention, food crisis would have become worse, agroeconomists. And of course, going down to some of the part of the article, you will see that the farmer comments CBN's 798.09 billion naira to some. What would you make out of this story?
I know that that the Central Bank of Nigeria decision to ban on importation of wheat and sugar, and it caused a lot of dust. It raised a lot of dust. Let me use that language because lots, even financial streets contacted me. They wanted my opinion on that and the implication for agroeconomic implication. So, and I was telling them that that decision was a right decision, but it could be a right decision at the wrong time, because our farmers, why is it that it's coming when we don't really have enough farmers who can service the country, service the confectionery industry, service the bakeries, and service us, because that's part of food security that we are talking about. So, are we self-sufficient enough to place that type of plan? So, and of course, it's important also because that the reason for the CBN to go into that was to help the local farmers, the domestic farmers within Nigeria, to also try to come up with ways of getting more self-sufficient, trying to how is the government also coming into their concerns, coming into their needs, coming into, because credit facility comes in, and of course, we know that wheat and sugar, and not just that, other commodities. How are they coming into bringing it? Yes, I know that they are also trying. They are trying, but is it really reaching down to the smallholder farmers? That takes us to database. We need database of our farmers. We need to know them so that every intervention given to them. So even with the recent, there's what we call empower. Is it it's been running now for in fact, and sometimes people tell me that they are going to their states to receive some sort of capacity, financial capacity, empower, and people will start disguising themselves as farmers just to receive that type of intervention. Who are you? Of course, that is very, very bad. That's a very sad situation. So now the implication of that ban is that I'm not ruling out the fact that there are some um, companies, there are some persons, there are some institutions who are also, growing wheat and have those factories that can also service. So what's the implication? The implication is that they can now become oligopolists. Um, oligopoly is a situation, is a market situation which explains, where a situation whereby there are some powerful players in the market that are trying to control the price of commodities, and those they are like the price makers. And when they are setting the price, when they are determining the price, that means they can easily say this, the price will be this, and the price will be that. So it's an imperfect market situation. It's no longer a perfect market situation, because the perfect market situation tells us that it's it has to be perfect market for a good food market, because food markets have to be perfect where you have large numbers of buyers and sellers, and the goods of course are homogeneous. And so why would okay, permit me to mention somebody like Dangote. Dangote has done very well, and there are other people also. They are very good. They are a very good example of these oligopolists. And we see because of the type of commodities that they've seized the market, and they cannot but make profits, and they cannot but keep being the leaders in this. So when the market is open for importation of such commodities, then it will lower the influence of the oligopolies within the system. Yeah. So, but I think the government also can have a way of also trying to manage the situation in this, and not just the government. Of course, we have the private investors and the Nigerians in the diaspora groups, and of course we can always partner together. And of course, something is already happening. I tell you.
All right. Talking always on the pricing, and of course we could talk about some other sector of the economy, but just now, what is important for us the most, particularly in this time of the year, is food product, because that is where that is where it affects all Nigeria. Because if we were to take off, for example, the real estate, even though the Nigerian real estate is still developing, it haven't really developed, but it's still developing. There is a price regime in those areas. So that is why I was trying to know how effective is the Nigerian pricing regulatory board, because they really need to play an important role here. Otherwise, some individual can just take advantage of the market opportunity and then begin to exploit people, where they just skyrocket the prices of good, because you don't have any limitation to what you can sell it for. So, but if there is a regulatory board that sort of control, if a situation happen like this, you can increase it to maybe like 10 naira or 15 naira, then it become a little bit easier. That is what I want you to please explain.
I think I need to tell you about price control. Yeah, because it falls within the purview of my research area. My research area has always been food and agricultural marketing and agribusiness, and that's where you get the pricing of, like I've carried out researches that touches, like I've carried out time series research analysts have also carried out cross-sectional analysis. So price control, there are restrictions set in place and enforced by government on the prices that can be charged for goods and services in a market. So there are two primary forms of price control: the price ceiling, the maximum price that can be charged, and also a price floor, that is the minimum price that can also be charged. So, like minimum and maximum, or sorry, maximum and minimum. So, in a country where nothing is done to address the issues of population explosion, such nation is undoubtedly heading for for doom. Yeah, permit me to say that, because that's also an issue with respect to pricing. And in a situation like ours, overpopulation is a sure match that will light up a deposit of gunpowder of our fragile economy, and such will portend as an adverse effect on the common growth of our economy. So, as well as the psychological being of citizens and the nation at large. So, talking about the price mechanism issue, we need a price mechanism. You have already, mentioned that if we have a good regulatory board, then of course that can be properly handled. Yeah. In addition, the powers of the President of Nigeria in regulating prices are at variance with the power of the Price Control Board to fix prices. So, if I can ask the question that is there price regulation in Nigeria? If I can answer that question, then I also have to answer it myself, and I can tell you that the powers of the President in regulating a price is at variance with the power of the Price Control Board to fix prices of commodities as provided by the Price Control Act. Yeah, so the new competition law has given a lot of powers to the new untested commission. So another question should be, can price control work in Nigeria? And I said that earlier, and I said no, it cannot. So, and then shortly before the Land Use Act, I had mentioned about the Price Control Act of 1977. And then coming back to the issue I had raised about the petrol product pricing regulatory agency, that they are trying to regulate the prices of petrol, and we've also seen the commodity boards, food commodity boards. We've also seen some other essential commodity board agencies that are trying to play the role of minimizing price. Of course, they work with also the legal tender, the Central Bank of Nigeria. Sorry, yeah. So that's really it's a very important space that has to be filled. So so it's like there's an opportunity now open for stakeholders of development.
That is important, because now we're talking of the protection of the consumer. No, because I want to believe that those who want to control the market, or those who want to have, I also understand from your explanation that Nigeria, you don't have a perfect market. I don't know if that is even a perfect market anywhere, but the point is that somebody need to care for the consumer. No, because my fear is that people have limited liquidity, and this liquidity is not enough for them to be able to buy what they need at the end of the day, because the price is always going up. So are there reasons why this price is sort of out of control? Okay, I'm trying to see that there's a limitation to what I can charge, what I can sell this product in Nigeria without exploiting the Nigerian consumer.
Yeah, in fact, it's a very practical question, and immediately you hit the nail on the head. I already understood it. I have already mentioned that the food supply chain disruptions and the ban in the importation of food items due to large money sums spent on them by the CBN. I have already mention about that. Well, it is no longer news that our beautiful country has been faced with worries of high electricity charges, little or no electricity. It's not just in Nigeria, it's an African problem. And of course, I have traveled out severally, and when I am in countries that have, consistent power, and they have, navigated through those times of no power, and it really touches me a lot. So I was saying that the problems that we are passing through as a country, with respect to power, electricity, fuel, transport prices increasing over time, of course, these are also issues that are touching on the prices, I tell you. So we must also have to reckon that Nigerians have been in the messes of this crisis, with many living at the risk. At the risk, women in excruciating pains, and children whose stunted growth is also compromising their chances of living a distinguished life. So, can we, I really have to mention about the major cities across the country of Nigeria that are being reported with, deleterious, deleterious effects on household budgets, among other issues. We must also know that the series of insurgencies bedeviling the country, especially in the northern region, as well as the pockets of dissensions in some states, where most food and essential commodity items emanate from, have also adversely contributed to ill reports about the astronomical rises in price for a range of food commodities. Yeah. For example, we know about from vegetable to meat, from gari, yam, we know those staple crops, and even rice. It's been, consumers are being constricted, still battling with modest wages. Can you imagine? And it is, however, evidently clear to mention that a geographical area like the northeast geopolitical zone of Nigeria, which has, that's where you find Gombe State, that's where you get Taraba, and that's where you get Bauchi. These are, countries where, lots of, they enjoy the infrastructural resources of production, and of course the weather and the climate is also very, very good for them. And even towards the Maiduguri area, and those areas where the Boko Haram areas, they are very good in agriculture, but the insecurity issue becomes, toughened every day. So the Northeast is a major source of food chain to other parts of the country. So especially in the southern region, which is worst hit. I was in Lagos recently, and I was very, very shocked when I priced. I went to, because I like bananas a lot, so I went to price banana, and I went to price okra. Oh my God, I was so shocked. I am also very humble enough that I enter into where ordinarily people of my, some people of my, occupational area will not enter, but I choose to do that because I'm an agro researcher. And the prices are so high for just what that is not so big. Can you imagine that I was asked to pay 700 naira for pawpaw that I can get in some places for just 50 naira or 100 naira? Yeah, so you can see how that area, the southwest Nigeria, is big. So this is not just an assertion, I tell you. But a hearsay as about 85% of foodstuff consumed in cities such as Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, and other southwestern states come from the north, especially during dry season. So a quick example is the Oyimbo market, which is popular, which is a popular market. What of Mile 12 and Ketu in Lagos State? These areas secure their food supplies from the north on a daily basis. As innumerable trucks and lorries, you find them, moving into the market. And of course, those markets are seen offloading ferries of produce from the farms, including tomatoes, pepper, onions, yams, potatoes, even livestock as well, goats, rams, and cows. among other agro resources. So with the report, with also a report on our recent market survey, it showed that high-priced goods have in turn yielded negative impacts both on the sellers and buyers. So moreover, in River State, where I spend some time, most times, especially Port Harcourt City to be precise, a certain trader who was interviewed that sells groceries and provisions in the market. She bitterly, lamented it and expressed her bias that President Buhari knows solutions to this dilemma. Can you imagine that? So regarding this price hike, further complaints were also expressed, and and of course, since before that we used to buy a bag of milk for 2,500 naira. Now it's 11,000. A bag of milk. Can you imagine? So if you want to buy noodles, also a carton goes for 850 naira. But now we are buying it for 2,500 naira, and it's even higher in some retail stores. Of course, we have the wholesalers, we have the retailers, and we have some of those key players who who are also performing one brokering activity or the other within the distribution channel. So, like a loaf of bread, which is very important. I had mentioned about the wheat. Of course, I didn't even mention the implication of the derivatives from wheat and sugar. Of course, that the prices will keep getting higher, and it will keep getting higher, and becoming unaffordable, becoming more, very hard for the poor masses to feed. And what's also the implication is that households will start spending food on, what they are supposed to use for their comfort. They'll start looking for ways of, buying more foods. Can you imagine that? So children who were in school will start dropping out because the money that should have been used to pay their school fees will now be committed to feeding money. Can you imagine that? So that's why the government also has to come in with, to see ways of, trying to see, I call it process of sequestration, trying to sequester those challenges and trying to also, bring it down and bring it down and bring it down so that the masses can also benefit. So a loaf of bread that used to, that bakers used to, buy like 150 naira now sells a double price, even more because of the high cost of flour, of milk, and of sugar. So, and as traders, we are tired. According to this particular trader in Enyimba City in Aba. Aba is a major commercial nerve center in southeast Nigeria, and all these have their negative report cards on the lives of people of Nigeria. So the high cost of foodstuff has really hampered the livelihood of most people, and people can no longer afford good meals again. They eat all sorts of unfriendly food items, junk, and non-nutritious foods, and of course, giving cheaply to malnourishment, and in turn submitting to nutritional disease ranging from kwashiorkor to marasmus. And yeah, so very sadly, this has raised a major concern that the federal government of Nigeria must wake up from its slumber and create a functional and lasting solution to food crisis.
Thank you for that. Now, talking of food crisis, food prices, and of course the consequences of the people. Of course, you did make mention of some things. You were also talking of Lagos, that you were there. How you you saw the price skyrocketing. Actually, I think that is the right word to use. The skyrocketing in Lagos. So, how do you see the people surviving? Because it's okay if you are the rich man, because in Nigeria we don't really have the average. You are either rich or poor. For the richer people, okay, they still have the pay, but okay, they can afford it. But for the poor masses, the poor Nigeria, how do you in Lagos? Because we are looking at the mega cities now. How do you see them able to survive this situation? It must be very harsh on them.
It's very harsh. Uh, I I remember that I had mentioned to AIT that the implication of all of this, of course, we have seen it, high social vices. Social vices is heightening up kidnapping activities. We can see high crime rates. we can see lots of issues. The other day, one of my friends who is a lawyer based in Lagos, he was on his way back. It wasn't even nighttime. He was, abducted. Can you imagine that he was actually, he was killed? Let me use that word because, of course, every of his possession was collected after being waylaid by unknown men who just appeared from nowhere, where he was standing with his bags and all of that. About 3 bags, as he told me. So, and he showed me this car, and I was shocked. They actually broke his head, and he was gushing, blood was gushing out of his head. And such situation has, repeated over time. One of my visits to Lagos, can you imagine that I was, because I have to travel. I love to travel by road. Even my family asked me why I love traveling by road, because when I can always travel by air. And I told them that is just a hobby that I developed as I was growing up, So that very day, do you know what happened to me? One of my telephones was stolen. It was stolen, and I didn't even know my telephone. And I went to recover the line because I bought a new phone immediately. And I went to recover the line. Then my shoes that I put inside my bag tight was also stolen. And I had to go to buy a new shoe because I was going for a foreign interview in Lagos. So, I was wondering if it's another person who passed through that challenge, because I know that with all the shock absorbers in me, I was able to. In fact, I had to, I mentioned it to the country coordinator of the Rome Business School at that time, and he told me, he said, really, was that your experience? Well, that's no news to me. Don't you know that a respectable woman who just visited Lagos was actually beaten because she was struggling with them. They were asking her for money at some point, and she didn't give them money, and they took her bag and they beat her mercilessly, and she had scars over her body. And immediately he told me that. I just said in my mind, I said, okay, well, that's so. And I shared that experience with lots of persons in Lagos, and they were like, this is what we face in Lagos. This is what we face. So I tell you that when a country is having such an issue, it's tending towards having a high crime rate. And when there is no proper structure, there is no mechanism, there is no framework to see how to channel these lives. Well, when I lived in South Africa, can I just say this? I noticed, I know also that most of my friends in South Africa complained to me. Even while I was also there, I saw that they also have high crime rates as well. But the government of South Africa, they have social grants and social credits, which they give to people who do not have work, especially those HIV victims, accident victims, and single mothers and all of that. And can't we have such a plan, since we are having challenges with job creation? Can't we also I am not ruling out the fact that the government is also trying in one way or the other. I am really giving kudos to the government, and also to the Africans in diaspora, to private investors, and also I'm also giving kudos to those who are building up the entrepreneurial capacity and trying to give a very good recommendation, and also enforcing policies that would make persons to why not remain in the rural area, and so that we can actually bring in some technology there and create more factories and industries that will employ you like China did or China is doing. We are very fast in condemning China. We are very fast in saying China is this, China is that. But you see why they are navigating, you see why they are actually doing it, because they can build enough factories. Like we have been, I am part of a lot of international networking volunteer organizations where We are, within across Africa countries, within Sub-Saharan Africa and even in entire Africa. And we kept proposing for that in some countries where that are naturally endowed with the produce from agriculture. And of course, we know that in Nigeria, the agriculture sector is majorly comprised of crops, livestock, fishery, forestry. Can't these youths who are in Lagos, can they be channeled to becoming agripreneurs? To big because even there in Lagos there are vast lands. Even in Ebe region, I know I've visited there in the in the either in the mainland or even in the island. There are many ways that we can actually find a way, or even around the hinterlands, other places within the country where can also be developed in such a way that can employ so that because overpopulation, that's what happens when there is urbanization, this rural urban drift, this rural urban migration thing, and it keeps happening. Even right now, people are even moving from living Nigeria to the Western world, to the developed countries.
But
Because of that.
Is it not what the reason we have the
It's
government?
it's the principle.
Echo, you must have a plan, no? The people in the authority must have a plan for the country, because like you were saying, what the
Absolutely.
Chinese did by making, because somebody must study the situation that you have. Why are people leaving the rural area to the urban area? Do you have enough resources in the urban area to cater for this incoming population? If you do not, or you don't even want that one as a move, you need to make life easy for those that are living in the rural area. You see, these things are not magic. I don't think we are asking too much if we ask our elected officials to fix this problem. This is their problem. This is why they are there. Somebody must do this study. Are we asking too much?
We are not asking too much. The only thing is that Nigeria is a bit disadvantaged because of the security situation. So I am just speaking the minds of Africans in diaspora and also foreigners also who are not even Africans. They have always mentioned that they are afraid. I have a friend who came all the way from the United States of America and he loved Nigeria a lot, but he has never visited Nigeria, but he was told that when he comes to Nigeria, they will kidnap him. So he decided to settle in Benin Republic, Cote d'Ivoire. So, and from time to time, his wife asked him, he said, I would like us to go to Ghana. And of course, they were shuttling between Ghana and Cotonou. And of course, with trying to also come into Nigeria to visit me. I wasn't in Lagos then, so we couldn't even make that plan to come. And so that is also the same issues with respect to trying to bring in some intervention from that angle. But I will really want to give kudos, like I have mentioned about the present government, with of course with the Anchor borrower scheme, among other policies of our country, which is trying to help to assist in bringing about transformation, because of course job creation is part of development, food security, and among other issues that touches on comfort of the people, and trying to bring quality life. And so so when I mentioned about disadvantage, I have been in a forum where some foreigners from Israel and from other parts of the developed world, they're trying to build a hub in West Africa, and they had to go to Ghana because Ghana was ready. The ground for Ghana has already been broken. So they are ready to receive foreigners. They are ready to, because of, it's more secure, it's more safe. So, but we are still coming there. I know that a lot is also going on to make sure that we we people who are coming in to invest are safe, and also so that even since production happens in the northeast Nigeria now, and where of course huge supplies comes in with all the insurgencies and all the challenges and all the troubles, um, can also be managed.
This is a plate of the regular Nigerian meal. Who doesn't like to have this one on their table, you know? And this is not also asking too much. So a lot of Nigerians are currently complaining of this price hike in the country. So the question I'm trying to ask you, Dr. Echi, someone listening to the complaint of Nigeria that are complaining of the over expenses of food for them to survive. Someone listening to them.
If someone is listening to them, of course, yes. Why wouldn't they be listened to? People are people have lots of talks and also lots of listeners, and some sometimes what you are also passing through, the other person is also passing through it. So they are like an association of people who are passing through that thing. So, and of course, when that type of association is you know is in place, it will even be a very good way of because problem that is half shared is half solved. So, well, can I say that that is why we are also here in the media. After the interview, it's been transmitted. It's been transmitted to the leadership, and the leadership is also making frantic effort to see that those who are involved will put this in place. But we need them also to be faster, and that's why some of us are also ready, ready to be to play the roles, ready to stand for the truth, to stand for um, um, you know channeling every effort, coordinating of resources, managing of every resource, directing them, and ensuring them that whatever information, that whatever resource in place is being used. And of course, I will always say that people are listening. It's no longer hidden. Even last year, during the pandemic, it created a lot of knowledge sharing amongst farmers across African countries and even across the continents of the world. Yeah, so farmers in rural areas. I was in a session. I was actually monitoring a session where a farmer in Zimbabwe, a farmer in Kenya, a farmer in farmers in Sierra Leone, farmer in Ghana, and also even farmers here in Nigeria, and persons in Netherlands who, the African Food Network that I co-founded, and we were discussing on sessions, and we had some network issues from time to time, and also farmers from South Africa, which was very interesting. So coming down to the price of food, the issues, we also have to find a way of like I've already made my points clear on that. I made my points clear on that. That if we can come up with ways to reach to the needed, the poor, we should ensure that we really go out of our way to do that. I know that also religious institutions, they are also trying in one way or the other to visit some of those. Some of them also have programs for the less privileged, for the motherless babies, because these essential commodities are so high. Like like the price of cabin biscuits. I because I prefer to eat cabin biscuits than most of the biscuits of today. But recently, I've not eaten it. I had to get it for my mother, and when I got it for her, I noticed that the price had already passed, 400 naira. It's no longer 400. It's now 420. And some places are even selling 500 naira. This is the same having biscuit that sells for 250 naira. Can you imagine that? So, and I'm sure you will be shocked, and many of us who are listening to me that know what cabin biscuit is, they will be very shocked and say, wow. Yeah, I will also reckon that the packaging has also improved for cabin. The I'm not making any promotion for cabin here, but I am just saying that the packaging has also increased. So there is every possibility also that the because in marketing, when you improve the packaging, of course the margins of the the institution that puts in the package also will have to improve because of the cost implication on that side.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And now looking at the price hike, of course, a lot of Nigerians, not only that they are complaining about that, but they're also looking for solution. How can there be solution? Of course, many Nigerians are not expert in this area, so they rely on people like you who work in this area to be able to explain it to them so they can know what to do. So, what do you see to be the solution to the irregular price hike in Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you for that question. This is the climax of all your questions because when it comes to, we do a lot of research. I have students here and there that I'm training and mentoring, and I'm also supervising. And most of their researches ends in suggestions, and that normally brings us to the end of every research. Yeah, and we also mentioned about contribution to knowledge and all of that, and areas you are proposing to encourage people to get into study more. I've talked about price control, which are restrictions set in place and enforced by governments, and on the prices that can be charged and for the goods. Yeah, I have mentioned this before that it's very important that we note these things, that we have the knowledge of this in a country when nothing is done to address the issues of population explosion. I have mentioned this that such nation is heading for chaos of overpopulation. Yeah, so for Nigeria, overpopulation is a sure match that will light up the terrorist of gunpowder. I had mentioned that, and of course, according to the census head count of 2006, the nascent population index of Nigeria puts the country at a breathtaking figure of 200 million persons. So, due to such population bursts, a series of issues like hunger, poverty, unemployment, and genocide have also been at the increase. So many persons strive for limited available resources. So a quick and typical example is that of the trust. Like we know about the entrance examination to the university. So many students applied, and like the discard barrage is experiencing is being experienced in other sectors as food and fuel provision, housing, land tenure, and unemployment. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that a quick and typical example is the JAMB examination, where millions of candidates registered and were competing for admission, sitting, admission seats meant for about 30,000 students. Yeah, so you can imagine. So no can say that Nigeria's population explosion has overstretched the few resources available. Such, in turn, is playing detrimental role in all areas of one's daily living. So it is safe to say that a large population harbinger, is a harbinger for poverty and inimical situations in Nigeria. So where a citizen is dependent on one source of income that offers limited enabling environment. So we're encouraging for persons to think about coming up with more avenues for more streams of income. This problem, of course, begs the question of why would a same individual want to give birth and raise many children in a country as ours. So the high rate of poverty in Nigeria, it has led to a lot of issues. Then ethnic, religious, and political, everyone now hates one another. If the government must sit tight and tighten up, every loser, this is the best time. So with the current spate of inflationary rates in food prices in the markets, so the government at all level should work. They should work on modalities to control the price of food and other products in the market. There should be an urgent need to consider measures that would ensure a steady flow of goods. It's very important now. Goods has to flow and on a steady basis to the market and have the recent price increment reversed. Farmers are always having challenges with respect to at this point of distribution, because of course there is always bottlenecks with respect to transporting the goods, concerns, the consignment, all those commodities as you can see them, tomatoes and all of that. Whether they are horticulture crops, like vegetables, fruit vegetables, leaf vegetables, or arable crops, banana, plantains, yam, beans, and all of that, among others. Or even crops, some permanent crops or perennial crops or plantation crops. You can have, harvesting them, cashew nuts, avocado pears, among others. And even from the livestock, so there should be urgent need for means to harness this. So roads has to be, because the cost of transportation is also high. So, but when there are good roads, so good road network, it will help to shoulder a lot. Not just that, we are also looking at the ticket fees that they spend on the way. Why is it that the poor farmers are made to pay extra charges? The poor farmers that are smallholders who have little or no resources even to produce for the public. You can imagine, because of the challenges. I am not saying that there are no improvements. There are improvements, but how far? What's the level of improvement? So, through the federal government, a competent task force should be set up to actualize the control of high prices. So the task force should be able to seize us down. Should be able to seize us down. You see how seize us down. Seize us down. Some of the cost raising factors. There are some costs that can be cut off, that's what the blockchain technology comes to do. It helps to navigate all the wholesalers and retailers, and then help the farmer to make actually the margin that he or she is supposed to make and not coming out. So, of course, that affects the availability and cost of the produce of products. So thereby, a good relationship will be made between the farmers and the food vendors, and therefore a relief for the people. So there is still more recommendations, which touches on government, which also touches on private investors, which also touches on the NGO, which of course we can always recommend and try to form partnerships and a voice to see that these issues can be tackled. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it, and also your time for explaining this difficult question that Nigeria people
Yeah, it
are
is.
passing through. All right. Now, in 2003, the Nigerian government established the PPPRA, standing for the Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Agency. Does that agency have any real impact on the prices of commodity in the Nigerian market of today?
I think it does. It does, but not solely. They all work hand in hand because the same persons that buy fuel, those are the same persons that also buy the food commodities. They are the same persons that also use the essential commodities. They have, from that they have influence. I tell you, they have influence. It's all interwoven. I think I had mentioned this that we need to ask a question first of all. Can price control work in Nigeria? And I said that many schools of thought have disagreed to that fact that it cannot work in Nigeria. But I may not really support that because I always believe that something can always be done. We can always have a room, uh, to see how to ameliorate, to navigate challenges. So, another question is that is there really price regulation? So, to talk about is there really price regulation? Yes, we do. We have, but why is it that some major schools of thought have also said that the powers of the president to be regulating prices that they are not in consonance with the prices of with the power of the price control board in fixing the prices of commodities, which are provided by the Price Control Act. Yeah, so another follow-up question is, can the government set prices? That's another question. And can I answer that of course, price controls are normally mandated by the government in the free market. And of course, we know that the free market, of course, price controls can often lead to disruptions in the markets, also losses for producers and noticeable change in quality. So, coming back to your specific question, PPPRA is an agency. It's an agency of the government of Nigeria, which was established in you mentioned 2003, to be responsible in monitoring and also regulating the supply and distribution, as well as determining of prices of petroleum products in Nigeria. So, and I know it's headquartered somewhere in Abuja. Yeah, but the question is still that it has some influence on that. So I agree to that. It does have influence, but it's not really solely in control of food and essential.
So it's only limited to petroleum product. I will say that
It's
of course.
limited to petroleum products, and it also influences, for food and also essential commodities. It influences that industry. Yeah, it influences because the same people who consume this product. Remember that essential commodities, among the essential commodities, petrol is also one of them.
All right. Okay.
There you go.
Thank you so much. All right, we have come to the end of it now. Now I'm going to ask you a recommendation to conclude the podcast. I think what the Nigerian people are looking for is a standardized price. No, it just like it happened in many other countries. So that whether you are in Enugu or you are in Kaduna or you are in Lagos, the price should be about the same. So within the kind of a standard price, how can we get standard price? What are your recommendations to be able to fix the pricing irregularity in the country?
That's a very serious question. There's something that just dropped in my mind as you were speaking. And what dropped in my mind, we need to go back. We need to go back to the price, to the pricing regulations. We need to go back to the price, the Price Control Act of 1977. We need to go back to that because I know that even in 2017 and then, subsequently, even now, that price control act is still referred to. We need to go back and see what the SWOT, like conduct a SWOT analysis, the strength, the weakness, the opportunities, and the threats, and see how to upgrade it, and see also how to enforce it. I know that Nigeria is a developing country, grappling with a lot of developmental problems, poverty issues, high food insecurity, high security, issues with us, high insurgency problems, and also high crime rates, some sort. And sometimes we also talk about corruption. And yeah, it's everywhere. I know, but we we need to see also because all the institutions, even the Central Bank of Nigeria, even the oil, some of the oil companies as well, multinational companies, funding institutions, microfinance, MFIs or MCIs, that's microcredit institutions as well, and even Bank of Agriculture, commodity boards. We need to go back, revisit them, and see how we can restructure. There is need for restructuring now. It's really high time for us to restructure. So, and when we are restructuring, we are actually building to finish. We are actually putting in place. We are strategizing, and at the same time also networking, partnering, and we are in a teamwork type of arrangement. And at the end, what are we going to achieve? We are definitely going to achieve a major aim on which the poor masses will be happy. Everyone will be happy, so that when even there is a price increase, the government can also come in with subsidies, help out, like the government is really doing in the area of the fuel subsidies, which is also, like I earlier said, that is an essential commodity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate the time. I think it has been
Welcome.
a really valuable conversation on this evening. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.